told the story here before, the first time, and of all the 10 people, I was the only one that went over at the time. I had a friend that came with me to watch, and said she wanted to vote for me. And she got a little mad at me because I went over the time and got disqualified. And she was giving me a bit of a hard time about it, and I said, trying to make me feel guilty. She said, yeah. This story is a little bit about guilt. I had my first transcendental experience when I was 4 years old. And interesting as I was, there was a bit of a fallout to it. I wasn't very good at doing the things that were expected of a kid. I was quite bewildered and was spoken of that I became a brat. I wasn't paying very close attention to what I should be doing. And because I kept asking questions all the time, my parents thought it'd be a good idea to put me in school early, so they put me into grade 1 when I was 5 years old. I didn't know what most people knew, and I didn't have much interest in knowing a lot of these things. And so I became quite dumb at school. I didn't do very well. Matter of fact, this summer I was at a croquet party in Shaughnessy, and there was a gal there who knew me from grade 1 who hadn't seen me in 50 years. And the first thing she said when she saw me, said, "Jack, have you learned how to spell yet?" I was bad at spelling. I remember the first time we had an exam to do, the teacher would name off words and you'd lose 5 points for every word you got wrong. And so I ended up having to go home with a test that had -20. So it was on 100, so I got the -20. I lived in Quebec, where we were a Catholic family that wasn't afraid of corporal punishment for things. And besides being a bit of a brat, I was also a bit of a coward, so I never gave that test to my parents to sign. I came to school the next day telling my sister, she said, "Did you get the test signed?" I said, no. I'm going to tell the teacher that I lost it, and I hid it in my shoe. And I thought, that's a good idea. I was 5 years old in grade 1, got to class, and the teacher came around and said, "Did you get your test signed?" I said, "No, I went swimming and someone stole it." And I was feeling pretty confident because I could feel it there in my shoe. My sister was 3 years older than me, decided to come to the classroom door at that minute, and when the teacher answered it, she explained to the teacher that I hid my exam in my shoe. So I didn't really feel a whole lot of support from people and family. But the story goes, when I turned 7, I was in grade 3, and I had a teacher that I finally really liked. This teacher, she was very kind. Everybody liked her. She was a very loving, kind person. And she even seemed to like me, but I was still a brat. And one day, I guess I got to the limit of her endurance, and she decided to send me to the principal to get the strap. Remember, corporal punishment, or Roman Catholic to that. And she had never sent anyone in her entire life to get the strap before. So I went and got the strap, came back. When I came back, I knew she had sent me against her better judgment, that she had real mixed feelings about it. When I came back, she seemed very concerned that I would be okay, and I picked up on that concern, and I picked on her. I gave her a real dirty look, and I saw that it was affecting her, and the more it was affecting her, I just really tried to rub it in. I mentioned I was a brat. And I was being very mean to her. And you get to thinking, though, that because I was hurting her so much by doing that, that she probably genuinely loved me. Like, you don't get those kind of feelings for a stranger. The next day, the principal came to the classroom and said, we're going to have a new teacher today because our teacher last night died. And she died of a heart attack. The kid in class said, well, what's a heart attack? He said, that's when your heart breaks too badly. And then, me being a 7-year-old, and the way guilt gets passed around, the principal decided to say, well, yesterday was the only time she ever had to send someone to get the strap. I guess it really bothered her. And I didn't like hearing that very much. And my friends in the schoolyard said, you killed the teacher during recess. In Catholic faith, they have mortal sins and venial sins. Killing a teacher is pretty big on the list of mortal sins. So it wasn't something I could tell my parents about, you know. My father liked to beat me. And so it's something I had to deal with over the years, to try to figure out about guilt, you know. Probably some of it was true. Maybe she did have a heart attack because of how upset she got, you know. And I learned from that. It took me maybe 40 years to deal with it. And but anyways, and guilt's probably something we're all going to have to learn to deal with, because things have turned into kind of a mess in the world. And it's easy to want to blame someone else, you know, pass on the guilt to them. But if I go over this time, and people are expecting me to feel guilty, believe me, I know how to handle guilt.